Lexus has released a revamped version of its smallest electric SUV, the UX300e. And this week I've been driving the sports luxury grade with my little family of three. This model sees some key upgrades to its driving range, battery performance, and the technology. And in this video, I'm going to unpack whether those upgrades make it a solid competitor against its rivals, the Volvo XC40, BMW iX1, and the Mercedes-Benz EQA. So stay watching. There are only two variants for the electric UX, and our test model is the sports luxury grade. But it's not just the gear that's seen an upgrade. See, the price point has jumped by almost $7,000, which makes this model now $87,665 before on-road costs. That price point does place it as the most expensive compared to its competitors, but this is a well-specified model by anyone's standards. This grade maintains its premium features, like the sunroof, heated front and rear outboard seats, ventilated front seats, and a heated steering wheel. But the technology has been retooled, and this 12.3-inch touchscreen multimedia system now replaces the old 10.3-inch touchpad system of the previous model, and it's a welcome addition, as is the wireless Apple CarPlay functionality that this now has. The full specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you want more info. Nothing really has changed in this design, and in fact, Lexus seems to be encouraging a very understated design in terms of EV styling, especially compared to its competitors. This still sports the classic spindle grille and the severe jutting out of the rear taillights, just like its fuel-based siblings. The rear features a cool LED strip light which enhances its nighttime presence, and I really like the sporty 18-inch alloys, but I hate all of the black plastic molding that's around the bottom of the car. It just totally detracts from the premium level that this car sits in for me. There's a lot happening with this dash. It sits forward into the cabin space. This big screen is definitely the headliner, and there's a lot of cutaways happening. And these little dials on top of the instrument panel kind of look like horns. I don't know. But overall, I do like it. It feels high-end in here because of the white leather accented trims, soft touch points, and just how all the elements fit so snugly together. The interior is definitely the draw card for me. The front seats are very comfortable, and I like that you get adjustable lumbar support on the driver's side. Both seats are also electric and sport the heat and cooling functionality, which means that you're just going to be comfortable year-round. Storage is pretty good up front for this class. You get a middle console that opens on both sides, which is pretty cool, glove box which is lockable, 2 cup holders, as well as a drink bottle holder in each door. The updated multimedia system looks good, is responsive to touch, and is a lot easier to work on the go. But I will note that it can be a little bit annoying to try and find some information on there. But the customizations and the information you can get from the 7-inch digital instrument cluster panel is much easier to find and more than makes up for it. There's a colored head-up display, wireless Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto, and built-in satellite navigation. I also just really like how many charging options there are throughout this car. Each row gets 2 USB-C ports, but the front also gets an extra USB-A port, 12-volt port, and a wireless charging pad. Seriously, you're spoiled for choice. I will make a special mention of this steering wheel. It is so nice to use. It's heavily padded, the leather trim feels great underneath the hands, and it's really nice having that heated functionality as well. The back seat is tight on space. I'm 168 centimeters, and while I have an okay amount of headroom, the legroom kind of sucks. I'm behind my driving position, but my legs are hard pressed against the backs of the seat. There's also not a lot of space for my toes underneath the seat either. And I probably wouldn't recommend this car if you regularly transport taller passengers. Having said that, the back seat is very well cushioned, which is great, and there are ISOFIX child seat mounts on the outboard seats plus 3 top tethers. You'll probably only fit 2 seats back here, but my son was very happy back here with comfort. The amenities are very good for this class, and I think that will add a little bit more comfort to this back seat than it might ordinarily have, because you get directional air vents, those two USB-C ports that I talked about, as well as heated outboard seats, which is great, 2 mat pockets, and 2 cup holders in the fold-down armrest. The boot is small at 314 litres, which is 100 litres less than the previous model, but Lexus has made use of an underfloor compartment in this one, which stores the tyre repair kit and cable pouches. I actually thought it was a pretty good boot to use overall. It sits high, it's easy to access, and it was plenty of room for my groceries and a full day's worth of beach gear as well. I also think it's always handy having a powered tailgate. The UX300e has a fully electric powertrain with a 72.8 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery that's located on the front axle. The power and torque remain the same at 150 kilowatts and 300 newton meters, but that's more than enough to produce a 0 to 100 kilometer per hour sprint time of 7.5 seconds. The update sees the battery capacity increase by 34%, which means that the driving range has now been increased as well from 305 kilometers to 440 kilometers. It's still a little bit low compared to some of its competitors, but that's more than enough to ease a lot of range anxiety. And unlike a lot of its rivals, this only has a front-wheel drive drivetrain. My real-world energy consumption sat at around 19.5 kilowatt-hour this week, and I'm pretty happy with that considering how much open road driving I did. There are 4 regenerative levels of braking in this, but even on the firmest setting, I didn't notice that much difference. And there's something curious too. When you have a full charge, a sound alert and notification pops up onto the dash saying that the regen braking system is offline and to brake to decelerate. Disappears after about 30 k's, but it's intrusive enough that I didn't really like it. Despite its bigger battery size, this only accepts speeds of up to 6.6 kilowatts on AC charging, whereas all of its rivals do accept speeds of up to 11 kilowatts. On a 240 volt AC charger, expect to see a charge time of around 9.5 hours to get to 80%. This has 2 charging ports. On the right hand side it's a Type 2, and on the left hand side you have a port that allows for faster 50 kilowatt charging. On a fast charger, expect to see charge times of around 80 minutes to get from 10 to 80%. The UX is lovely to drive, and it's responsive and downright fun in the city. It's got plenty of power for when you do hit the open road, but it can lose traction if you accelerate too hard from a full stop. The ride comfort is great with the acoustic glass and extra insulation around the engine and tires, providing a whisper quiet cabin to be in. The suspension is well cushioned, but I did notice that on certain road surfaces that it can produce a real shudder through the frame. This is usually only felt on the open road though when you're doing higher speeds. The steering is very concise and this corners well, but you're going to know about it if there are high winds on the open road because it can shift around a little bit in its lane. I have loved parking this. The compact size and the 360-degree view camera seriously makes light work of any car space. And I would even go as far as to say that if you can't park it, it's not the car's problem. But seriously, the 360-degree view camera is one of the clearest I've sampled, and I really like it how the car goes invisible as well. Love this system. The UX300e has a bunch of standard safety features, and I really like the proximity alert feature, which pops on a camera feed of your surroundings when you're in stop-start traffic. And I think this is a great way of being able to see into your blind spots in the city. The UX has a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating from testing done in 2019, as well as 8 airbags, which includes knee airbags for both front occupants. The full safety specs are in my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more info. The UX is covered by a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, but the battery is also covered by a 10-year or up to 160,000 kilometre warranty, which is better than most in the class. This also comes with a 5-year cap price servicing program, and services are capped at just $295 per service, which is great. But servicing intervals are more in line with a fuel-based car at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometers, whichever occurs first. Lexus also throws in some sweeteners, like a 3-year complimentary subscription to both ChargeFox and Lexus Connected services, as well as an at-home wall charger. The Lexus UX300e Sports Luxury gets its luxury items down pat, and it feels like a premium SUV inside. The updated technology and driving range were a must to keep it competitive, but once you start looking at its rivals, which all have similar specs and better driving ranges, the price point does start to feel just a little bit high. I do like the ongoing costs and the little bonuses that Lexus throws in, so this still gets a 7.3 out of 10 from me. If you're after more details, check out my full review at carsguide.com.au, and I'll see you next week.